Have you ever wanted your makeup to look so natural, but also super flawless? Well, that's exactly what I'm going to show you today. This is my naturally flawless looking makeup look that I'm super excited about you guys learning how to do. But before we head into it, don't forget I do have an online publication called Confessions of a Creative with so many different topics that I cover. Everything's written by me: beauty, fashion, style, business, health, mindset, a bit of everything. So please do head over and show your support. We've got 2 subscriptions. We've got one which is free where you get access to some of the site. The other one is paid, but it literally only costs you around a coffee a month and you get so much for it. Subscriber perks and benefits, access to the whole site, plus a little room where we can chat. So if you like this video, please do give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell button so that you never miss any of my future videos. And I'm over on Instagram, so don't forget to come and say hi. Now let's head into this video. So I've been wanting to do this video for a while because it's the kind of look that I love, because it's perfect for daytime, it looks flawless, there's not a lot of makeup involved, and I really wanted to basically show you how you can use makeup that you might not realize can be used for a natural look, but in a natural way. So I wanted to show you how you can utilize makeup that you probably already have. So let's get started. I already have my skincare on. I'm gonna get started with, it's kind of a primer, but it's also like a liquid filter. It kind of like blurs your kind of skin. So it's my Doll 10 This Corrects Everything liquid filter. This is in the shade Tan Deep, so it does come in different shades. I don't feel like it gives you like the best coverage on its own. So if you've got perfect skin and amazing skin, then it's going to work great on you. But I personally think it's great for someone like me underneath foundation, or even just with a super light coverage as well. So I'm just going to get started and just kind of like buff this into my skin. This is my Sigma F85 brush, and I'm just putting a little bit all over. So basically this is kind of like something that gives you super light coverage, can also be used as a primer. It's got niacinamide in here, so it's great for, like, you know, just getting to work on your skin. It definitely makes your skin look healthier, so that's a plus point there. Okay, so we've got that all over. You can see it's like, you can still see my dark circles, but it's kind of like evened out my skin tone and blurred any imperfections. Okay, let's go for a concealer now. I'm going to be using my NARS Soft Matte Concealer in Ginger Medium 2, and I'm actually going to use a concealer brush for this. I'm not just going to like whack it all on. Now, this isn't actually a concealer brush. I just call it a concealer brush because sometimes I use it as a concealer brush, but it's actually the Sigma E24 brush, and it's a diffused blending brush. So it's like really kind of like, the bristles are very kind of like up and down. It's not just blunt at the end, and it's perfect for like swirly movements to just blend something in. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my concealer like this, just take off the excess on the back of my hand, and now this is where I'm going to start kind of like swirling it into the eye area, like above and below, to really get rid of the darkness. And what I'm going to do, well, not get rid of it, just cover it, but what I'm going to do is basically focus on the areas that are actually dark, as opposed to just applying it. You know, sometimes I feel like we just get so lost in kind of, let's just put it on, and we don't look at where we're actually applying it. So I'm going to go ahead and just start kind of like buffing this in. And you can, by the way, go back and forth, or you can go in circular movements, whatever it is that you feel kind of works better for you and feels more natural to your hand. But remember, you don't have to go all the way really close to the lash line. Like, you can actually leave a bit of a gap. It actually looks more natural when you don't apply your concealer as super close to your lash line, because your natural skin color coming through, it just looks more natural. The minute you apply your concealer right up until the lash line, and even underneath, right up to the lash line, like into your lash, the root of your lash, it gives more of a masked look. And it's perfect. It's great for like if you're kind of like doing a like heavier makeup look, or you're wearing eyeliner and stuff. But if you're going for a very natural look, then I would honestly avoid it. Can you see how that's like really evened out the skin tone? It's really covered the darkness, but in a natural way. Now we're going to go over to this bit at the bottom, and I'm not really focusing on going super close to the lash line. I'm just kind of focusing on the areas that are really dark for me, which is actually kind of more along the bottom part. I mean, it is pretty crazy, isn't it? How we've made this skin color here just look uniform now. Now, if you're a bit worried about how you apply it without having to go super close to your lash line, what I tend to do is like I've swirled it into the area. I've got most of the concealer off of the brush onto my skin. And when I know there's not much left on here, then what I tend to do is go underneath, like really close to my lash line and just below your lashes basically, and just go across like this. And what you're doing is whatever is there underneath, you're allowing it to kind of just blend up a little bit so that there's not so much of a difference. Like it's not like concealer and then skin. So it kind of like diffuses the line a little bit. I mean, that is just so much better than before. So let's go ahead and do the same on this side. And the reason I actually went for this texture concealer is because it's quite an opaque concealer, so it's not too fluid, which means it's a bit easier to kind of blend in when you're using something like a brush. Like if you're applying a liquid concealer, then you'll find that it kind of like almost disappears and you have to keep building it up. With something which is thick and opaque like this, it really kind of sits on the skin, so it's a lot easier. So now I generally have a vein which is really visible here all the time, and it kind of makes it look like the circle is a bit more pronounced than what it actually is. So I'm going to go ahead and just add a bit more over that bit, and then just finish off with a bit more on the inner corners because these tend to be dark. Okay, let's now apply this anywhere else that we feel that we've got a bit of darkness. So I'm just going to apply a bit here, and it's just going to kind of like even out the skin tone a little bit. And remember, we are going for a really natural base, just adding a bit more where I feel that I need it. And the great thing when working with a brush like this is it's really honestly like much easier to kind of like paint it on as well in the areas that you feel that you need it. Like once you've gotten used to kind of holding a brush in this way and using it, you'll find that you become like a bit more kind of confident with it. So as you can see now, I'm basically skimming over the face with this same concealer. And basically what this is doing, I'm kind of like brushing it back and forth, but the brush is skimming on my skin. It's not actually painting, it's not pressing. It's like basically just touching the skin. And when I'm moving it back and forth, it's enough that it doesn't move my skin. You know, it's not like, do you see what I mean? It's like very light. Now what I do want to do before we actually set anything is just sculpt my face a little bit. So I'm going to be using my Milk Makeup Matte Bronzer Stick in Dazed. And I am going to just draw in. There you go. This is a very kind of, it's not very dark for my skin tone. It's kind of what I want because I don't want crazy contouring. So I'm applying it up here to lift a little bit. And I think that's about it where I want it. I could potentially do a little bit on the sides of the bridge of my nose. See, I don't even know if you can see this that obviously it's that close to my skin color, but it's enough that it will make a shadow there. And even though it's a bronzer, like I've mentioned before in various videos of mine, that bronzer and contour, honestly, it's just about finding the shade that you want to shade. You can do whatever you want with them. You don't, just because it says bronzer doesn't mean you can't use it as a contour, you know? And because this is quite a cool shade, it works pretty well on my skin as a contour. Now I'm going to get the Milk brush, which is, I don't even know if you can actually get this. I'm sure you can, but get that on the side. And I'm just basically softly, can you see it's very soft, the sculpting that we've got. It's just enough to help the face to not look kind of flat, but at the same time, we've got some sculpting. Okay, so let's get a kind of like cream blush that we can put on as well. This is Paradise Peony from Pat McGrath, and I am gonna not put this on with the stick. I'm gonna use a brush. This is my BK Beauty 108 brush, and I am just gonna kind of like buff this into here and then buff this onto my skin for some color so that my skin looks healthy. And there, love it. It is pretty crazy like how much of a difference it makes when you change the way that you apply makeup. Like you'll find that even though you may have thought that you probably would need a lot more makeup, you really don't. It's crazy what you can do with a small amount of makeup. My skin looks super healthy. Now is where you want to get your powder. I'm using my Makeup Forever Ultra HD powder in Light Banana. Now you want to get a brush which is kind of like soft, so almost like very similar to kind of like the Real Technique setting brush. You can use that if you want. I'm going to use this Tarte one that I have because I feel like I can buff it into the skin. I just don't want to use it on that because I've already used that for powder, and you want something which you can kind of, it's going to end up mixing the powder, like blending it, buffing it into your foundation. So you will probably get some of the foundation on your brush. So something that you don't mind kind of using for that, because we're really going to buff it into the skin. Now, first things first, I want to get that brush that I applied my concealer with. So we haven't actually applied any foundation, right? And I want to get rid of any kind of creases, because otherwise we're going to end up setting the creases. Let's get rid of them on the lids, because that's where you normally get the creasing first, because you're kind of opening and closing your eyes. Go into your powder with the brush, and this is where we're really going to press it in. And you really want to focus on the areas that you know will either come off during the day or look really greasy over time, because those are the places you want to stick to. You want that to kind of stay matte and set. Now I like to go over the brows, because otherwise when I start applying my brow pencil, it just doesn't show up. You've really got to make sure it's really matte on that area for the brow pencil to be able to show off. Have you ever used a brow pencil and you're like, it's just disappearing on my brow, on my skin? That's because it's too fluid there. You need to really make it matte so it can draw on. Okay, go back into the powder, and this is where I'm going to go onto the areas that I really don't want to see any kind of dewiness, or like, I don't want it to be shiny. I'm quite happy for it to stay matte all day. And I know it usually would come off if I weren't to apply powder there. That's usually around the nostrils. Okay, another place is, I really don't want a shiny chin. I just don't like that. Okay, I'm gonna go up on the forehead a little bit, just along the center. Okay, now I'm gonna go on my under eye area. I'm really gonna press it in. There you go. I'm kind of happy where I've applied it. The last place that I want to apply it is really kind of like along this area here, like the middle of the cheek there. I don't mind this area being quite like glowy, but along here where I have texture, I don't really want it to be like super glowy there. So isn't it insane? We've applied the smallest amount and we haven't even applied foundation. It's pretty crazy. And look how flawless the skin looks. It is pretty good. So, okay, let's move on and apply some brow products. Okay, I'm going to use my Anastasia Brow Wiz in chocolate, and I am just going to kind of like draw in the thickness that I want. So I usually just do a little line and then I can fill it in after. I quite like the shape we've got, but I want a few feather strokes in there to just give it a bit of depth. So I've got my Lime Crime Bushy Brow Pen in Baby Brown, and I am just gonna kind of like draw in some hairs. And I go over where I've actually applied the pencil, because I feel like it just looks a bit more natural, and I let that line kind of show. The reason being is because I feel like then it doesn't look so perfectly drawn, you know? There's a bit of kind of like, you can see the hair strokes that I've kind of drawn in. Lastly, let's curl the lashes. And I don't want like a heavy lash, so I don't want a super thick kind of mascara. I just want something which is very natural, but just almost like just enhances my lashes. Okay, so I'm using my Dual Show Iconic Overcurl, and this is just really focusing on kind of like giving my lashes that really open-eyed look, because it helps to keep them curled. And it's not overly thick, you know, like it's not clumpy. It doesn't make your lashes look like really spidery. I love this. This is such a good mascara. I just feel like it's great for a natural look. Let's finish with a little bit of lip product. So just lining my lips. Okay, I've lined them as normal. And then I use my finger to just smudge the edges. I'm gonna use this. This is the Dior Rouge Dior 100 Nude Look in Matte. This nice kind of like rosy finish. Just to add a bit of kind of gloss to the lip so it looks quite like nice and natural. I'm gonna add a bit of the Milk Makeup Odyssey Lip Oil Gloss in Work Trip. And just kind of put it on the middle and then dab it all over, because I don't want it to look super glossy. And there you have it. So this is our naturally flawless look. It's very, very kind of like, you can see that the skin looks good, very healthy looking. Doesn't look like I've got a lot of makeup on. It's an everyday look. If you came super, super close to me, it would still look flawless. So this is what I love about this. We don't even have foundation on. There's just a little bit of concealer wherever we needed it. And obviously the filter primer that I use from Doll 10, which is amazing. It really does give you a helping hand there. The rest of it is all very natural. So hopefully this has shown you like some of the products that maybe you already have, and if not, then you know that you can use them for a super kind of like more glam look, but you can also use them for a very natural look like this. So hopefully that has helped. I'm sending loads of love wherever you are in the world. Please don't forget that you can get a discount off of some of the products. Make sure you check out my description below, and it's got all the products listed. And also I usually mention where you can get discount as well, where there's any special codes there, like hidden codes there for you guys. So make sure you do kind of like read through the description properly. And I'm sending you loads of good vibes wherever you are in the world. If you like this video, please do give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell button so that you never miss any of my future videos. Until the next video, take care, and I'll see you soon.